Adventures of the West's most exceptional cowboy, Charley Nebo. Well, unlike others who exaggerated their adventures through their biographies, Charley Nebo, aka the Cowpuncher, was quite illiterate and understated his achievements. He was a cowboy of John Chisum, had been a friend of Billy the Kid, participated in the Civil War, and was even an ex-Texas Ranger. You'll discover more about his amazing adventures after watching this video. And without more delays, here's where it all started. So Charley Nebo was actually born outside the western frontier, in the small town alongside a river in Canada. There, as he grew up, he became well versed in working with boats, which eventually helped him when he immigrated to the US and took a job as a steamboat freighter. Just 2 years after he arrived, Charley just found himself participating in the Civil War, taking the side of the Union Army. There he made quite a good reputation, working with the Engineer and Mechanics Regiment. But in one of the encounters, he got wounded in his left arm, resulting in him being honorably discharged. Despite that, Charley but again re-enlisted and worked as a teamster during a campaign against the Comanche. With his unusual bad luck, again, he got into an accident and was thrown off his seat while riding a supply wagon. This cost him a broken leg. Then he was, of course, discharged from his position. So with his love of adventures, he later on drifted into Texas and even served a year-long term as a valiant Texas Ranger. Soon he'll be an ex-Texas Ranger, and what he planned next was to pursue another passion, being a full-fledged cowboy.
Before continuing, we would really appreciate a like to this video. If you also want to see similar content in the future, consider subscribing and activating the notification bell.
In his last years in Texas, he tried being a stockman, but later on, he found himself being carried again in another adventure at New Mexico. Well, Charley's skills as a cowboy got him a reputation as he became a foreman in John Chisum's cattle empire. It was there that he got a fated encounter with the young Billy the Kid. There's this quite a great friendship between the two, and it was Charley who genuinely believed that Kid was far from the ruthless bad fellow that the Old West had made him out to be. Then also, during his stay in Chisum Ranch, Charley had actually witnessed a bully who killed the dog of a young boy. In his anger, he pulled out his gun, but the fellow was quicker and shot him first. Charley was a few millimeters away from death. Luckily, the bullet had only grazed his forehead. This gave him a chance to shoot the man on his thigh, and when his fellow cowboys saw what was happening, they immediately returned fire, killing the poor bully in the process. After his heaps of wild adventures, Charley finally decided to settle in South Dakota, then started a ranch of his own. There, many of his friends had a glimpse of Charley's love of horses. Even the owners of the biggest ranch and some Sioux and Cheyennes were amused by the horses that came from his care, as they often won races. Eventually, Charley would sell his ranch as he started a family of his own. And finally, Charley Nebo had found comfort as he lived the remainder of his years in the countryside of Oregon. He remarked in one of his letters, "I have been a cowboy for over 40 years and had some exciting times in my career." You have discovered the amazing adventures of Charley Nebo. Now click this and discover the life story of Billy the Kid.